at what stage does money come into play in governing, this social world of ours?
Yeah, it's a great question. I guess I would first say that this is it's a disputed question, right? There's no final answer to this. There's people that have done anthropological studies on the origins of money. There's a lot of disagreement. There's the David Grabers of the world that think money has always been an instrument of the state. I disagree with Graeber. Then there's the Carl Mingers of the world that have written books like On the Origins of Money that said it's always an emergent economic phenomenon, that anywhere there is trade, and there's trade dating as far back as 2 million. I mean, I don't know exactly how far, but we stood up 2 million years ago, roughly, right? We became Homo erectus. And once we liberated our hands, well, we've been making tools and trading soon thereafter. And everywhere there has been trade, any trade network, money is simply the most liquid, marketable, or tradable asset in any trade network. So it's an emergent phenomenon, right? We've seen it. Everyone's seen a movie, right, where cigarettes are the currency in prison, right? I played massive multiplayer games growing up. There was money in the game that the game designers put in, but it wasn't useful for the players, so the players emerged their own currency. The game I played was Diablo 2. The Stone of Jordan ring was the emergent currency of that game. So I've seen it happen, right? I've seen things monetized. We've seen gold monetize over a long period of time, right? It's been 5,000 years. We've seen silver demonetize. So we've seen monies come into existence and go out of existence. Even credit cards, Venmo, these are new technological innovation layers on top of money. But your question is when does money become such a primary influence on people? I think is roughly what you're asking, right?
Well, and also how does it enable, or how does it interact with things like property rights,
yes,
with things like speech?
Yes.
Yeah,
so let's say for as long as humans have been trading, there's always an asset that's most widely accepted, right? And that asset is money, basically. It can change over time, has changed over time. There have been places where seashells were money, places where glass beads were money, places where salt were money, places where women were money, places where cattle were money, places where monetary metals were money, places like today where, government paper is money, or not even paper anymore, right? Most of it's digital at this point. So it has changed over time. Private property rights, which I touched on earlier, just this idea that people have a claim on the things of value that they justly acquire, right? Meaning that they either make it or trade to obtain it. They don't steal it from someone else. Again, this is a very bloody, murky history, because when you go back to the history of man, it's been war and genocide and land theft for as far back as we can see. So we've been learning these things in the most painful way possible, right? Talk about learning the hard way. We have learned through eons of bloodshed that, it's a pretty good idea to just let people own the things of value they create. That's a good incentive system, because then they're incentivized to be productive and to take care of the things that they produce. And then we also get these other things like the division of labor, right? People can specialize in one thing and trade with other people. And then we increase the aggregate output of goods and services per unit of human hour labor input. So we become more productive working in concert and cooperating than we do working in isolation. Again, these are cascading benefits of private property, basically. Mm-hmm. And so what is money, right? It's the name of my show, first of all, and it is a question with a lot of answers. But one of the answers I would give you is that, well, I've already given you one, right? It's the most marketable asset. Well, because it's the most marketable asset, it's the most important form of private property. Because it's the form of private property that can be exchanged for any other form of private property. Anything that anyone can create or has in their possession, money is the thing that's most likely to be able to acquire that thing. Mm-hmm. And so when you get markets starting to emerge, right, and people our ability to cooperate at a distance now without even knowing the people on the other end of the trade is staggering. These cameras, who made these cameras? Where were they made? Where were the metals mined? Where was the design done? Where was it assembled? Where was the plastic manufactured? Where were the lens? Like, there's so much human cooperation crystallized in one of these cameras. We can't even fathom it. And actually, there's a great book called The Rational Optimist by Matt Ridley. He opens talking about the computer mouse. And he says, there's no one human on earth that knows how to make a computer mouse. Literally, there's no one that knows how to do it. There's only this distributed intelligence network that trades amongst itself that can assemble the computer mouse in the way that we enjoy it. That trade network, the messaging system, the signaling system that coordinates all that distributed activity without the need for any of these actors to know each other personally, right? You tens of thousands, millions of people interacting harmoniously towards productive ends, not destructive ends, productive ends. This is facilitated through money, right? Money is the language of human action or the language of value. And so its importance as an economic telecommunication system cannot be understated. It is as important, if not more important, than natural language, right? Again, if we go back, talk is cheap. We have other sayings like, put your money where your mouth is. Why do we say that? We say that because money carries a lot of energy in it, right? If I say I'm interested in investing in your deal, you're like, okay, cool. If I send you $1 million in Bitcoin, or I send you 10 Bitcoin, or whatever the thing is, you're like, okay, now I see that you're now putting your skin in the game. You've put your money where your mouth is. Your actions speak louder than your words, and I'm going to take you a lot more seriously now. And if you're a good steward of capital, you're going to be a lot more responsible to that investor, right? You're going to be accountable to them. You're going to give them updates. You're going to tell them how the project is going. You're going to give them the good news and the bad news. And like, you've established a relationship, a commercial relationship. Okay, there's a whole network of those, right? And they're all interwoven with money. Money is this economic language or lifeblood that interconnects and coordinates human action towards the productive activities that the market wants, which is basically the mass of people, right? The people that want a problem solved. The market is that communal phenomenon that coordinates to solve those problems that people with means want solved. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very, like, it's a complex adaptive system. It's almost like, if we go back to the microorganism and the macroorganism, right? I am an individual human. But if you zoom in, there are trillions of microorganisms, right? That are all competing, collaborating, all kinds of stuff to make up the metabolic process that I am. But they're all cohered under one identity, right? Like, there's one central principle guiding us, like myself, my identity. I decide what I eat. I decide if I exercise. I decide where I go, who I talk to. Like, I am in charge of this ecology that I am. I think money is, and it is blood, right? That circulates between all of these different organs and cells and like the blood is what interconnects, and it's the heart that's generating the vortex that distributes the blood. I think money is something like the lifeblood of the global economic organism, right? It's what the information's flowing through it, the vitality's flowing through it, the signaling, the preferences of individuals are flowing through it. If I sell a house, then I'm signaling to the market, you don't need to build any more houses like this in this area, because I'm selling it. I'm telling it, we don't need any more. If I buy that same house, I'm telling the market to make more houses like that in this area. So it's this subtle, like, push and pull, this signaling mechanism back and forth that coordinates the whole global macroorganism that is the global economy. Mm-hmm. And none of that's possible without the lifeblood that is money.
Yeah, it's like what binds together like the human superorganism.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, through markets.
A neurotransmitter of the global hive mind.
Yeah, and it's blood, it's information. Yeah.
It's a telecommunication system. Like we draw on all these analogies, but like really, reality is composed of these signaling systems all over the place. Your metabolism has all these signaling systems that are constantly balancing each other out. Well, we use signaling systems all the time, right? Text messaging, phone calls, we're coordinating. Again, language is a signaling system. Money is just another one of them. But it's one that's rooted in the realities of like economic scarcity, human labor, energy, right? The irreversibility of time. Like it's a language of energy or power or action.
It's like a foundational technology upon which most of our lives and world are built.
It's as fundamental as natural language in my estimation.
Yeah. So is wealth the same thing as money?
It's a great question. And there's always these kind of there's always a semantic blurriness a little bit between topics. So again, if money is the most marketable or tradable good in an economy, then yeah, it is a form of wealth in and of itself, right? It has, I guess first of all, we need to define wealth, right? Wealth, we talked about earlier, action is the purposeful use of means to pursue ends, right? Wealth is the means, basically. It's what do you have at your disposal that can accelerate you along your goal-directed path of action towards your objective. For instance, if I want to go from New York to Los Angeles, and all I have are tennis shoes, then I've got a long, hard journey in front of me, right? I don't know how long it takes. 6 months, long. So I hope I don't get killed along the way. I need lots of water and food and places to sleep along the way. That's a pretty arduous journey, right? For me to get along my path of goal-directed action from New York to Los Angeles. If I instead have a vehicle, a car, well, now I can do it in about, 30, 40 hours, something like that. Okay, I've brought my objective closer to me in time by virtue of having this form of wealth called a car, right? It's a machine that can accelerate me toward the achievement of my objective or my aim. Now, the spatial relationship hasn't changed at all. New York and LA are the same distance apart, but as far as I'm concerned, as an individual actor, my orientation towards my objective in time has collapsed significantly and went from 3 months to 30 hours, let's say. Okay? If I have a jet, that's an even more sophisticated form of wealth, right? I can get there in 4 hours. So I've gone from 3 months to 30 days to a few hours, okay? So wealth or capital, I would say these terms can be used roughly interchangeably. There's a little bit more of a specific definition to capital in economics where there are consumer goods and capital goods. Consumer goods are the things you actually consume. Capital goods are what you use to produce more consumer goods. Both consumer goods and capital goods are wealth. So we'll use the word wealth to say it is those things that allow you to achieve your aims more quickly, basically. In that broad sense, yes, money is a form of wealth, right? Because when I want to trade, when I want to obtain something, we'll go back to the camera. I have no idea how to build the camera. Literally, I don't know how. I don't know what it's made of. I don't know where to get the materials. I haven't the slightest clue. But if I want a camera, and that's my objective is to obtain it, well, then money is a very surefire path to obtain it. There's other ways, right? Maybe I could go work in a camera shop and eventually they would pay me the camera that I wanted or something like that. But a very short path in time to get that camera is to just have the whatever $1,000 that camera costs and go buy it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, click here to find more just like it and here to find our most recent episode. Also, make sure to like this video to help shine light on the corruption of money. And be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay connected.